Good afternoon. How y'all doing? I'm glad to be back here. Start a brand new football season. Nice seeing some familiar faces. A couple new faces in the building. It looks like so. Just one of the things, our guys have been having a great training camp. I really feel like Coach Beamer is doing an outstanding job of just making sure that we're all trying to strive in the same direction, from offense, defense, special teams. It's been a great camp. Also wants to welcome. Excited about Drew coming from UAB. A great get for us. He's a kid who's going to be able to play some defense for us this fall, and just excited about everything that's going on with the defense and the football team.
Clayton, have you guys started UNC specific prep yet?
Well, one thing Coach Beamer always stresses to us about is this is a mock game week. So we kind of introduce our opponent that we're going to play the first week, and we also hit some things that was kind of some problem things during the season. This is our first week technically away from going against Coach Loggins and Spencer, which, that's a good break every now and again, but it's also a mock game week. So to answer the question, yes, and we're also doing some other things.
You've seen some mobile quarterbacks in your time here. How much of a challenge is Drake Maye, who can lead them in passing and rushing for the season?
Obviously, you got to give credit where credit's due. He's an outstanding football player. I still feel like there's times when he does a really good job with his feet. He also does an outstanding job of obviously breaking and when plays a breakdown when guys are covered. He finds open lane, and he also does that's really his niche. He can throw the ball like most quarterbacks. He can throw a little bit better, farther, but his mobility is what really makes him very dangerous. He kind of reminds me of Josh Allen with the Bills, and that's a good compliment, I think.
Clayton, you mentioned Drew just then. What's the process like trying to get a guy like that up to speed in 2 weeks, and how realistic is him to have a role next Saturday against North Carolina?
Really, it really depends on how we integrate him into the program. One, we want him to feel comfortable around the coaching staff and the players. I think that he's a mature enough, obviously, to where he can adapt to the different situations, which he's already dove right into our playbook. He was trying to get the playbook the day that he came down here, which we was able to get him some introduction things, and it's realistic that he can possibly play for sure. I really expect him to play.
You've had 2 scrimmages now. What are kind of your takeaways from your defense, seeing them kind of in live action?
Yep.
What do you think still needs to improve in the 10 days till week 1?
Just keep coming together as a defense. I've seen some improvements. I've seen some things that we need to work on. I definitely see a group that's playing together as a group. Our guys have been here quite a couple of years. This is still some of our young guys. True, they're finishing their first true year on campus. Are you guys who expect to do a lot of playing for us? I think the main thing that I'm seeing from my guys, just they really want it. They learned from the mistakes from last year. They've also grown from the things that we did well, and we're trying to get better. But we're teaching those guys how to grow and how to get better every single day.
Are you still pretty fired up about your linebackers like you were a month ago coming into camp?
Yes, absolutely. Some days they don't think that. They don't think that I like them, so that's a good thing. They don't think I'm fans of them, but I will say those guys had a very good camp in regards of trying to diagnose plays and read and react and be guys that not just big hitters and guys that understands the game, understands the little details on how to play linebacker. It's very similar to being not quite like a quarterback, but you can also do a lot of things at the front and the DBs. But I think between Stone and Debo, they've taken huge steps, and the Kava is working back. It's so glad to have him back, and he's still grinding his way back into the old Kaba, but he's getting better every day. And Pup, those guys are all getting better. It's all about the details that we're trying to improve every single day. Today we learned 3 or 4 new things. We'll just introduce 3 or 4 new things that they have to be ready to do this fall.
And as far as like having those guys being able to play either Mike or Will, and not trying to get you to get too specific with it, but what's your thought process in wanting those guys to be able to play either or?
Yeah. So I start off by basically saying that if there's a hurry up situation and then you're on the wrong side, you should be able to learn both sides. Really, Mike and Will in a 4-2-5 is just the same, just the other side. So that's one thing we preach to the older guys if you've been here for a year, learn 2 positions. If not, you're hurting yourself down the road. Because at the times you want to get the next best linebacker and then not the next best Will.
Clayton, I asked Al this just a little while ago, but from a defensive standpoint, there's so many young players on this team.
Yes.
And for some of these guys, they've never gone through the process of maybe not being the guy or, working as the number 2. How do you help those guys come along so they don't lose that confidence early on in their career?
It's kind of a thin line. To me, honesty is always the way to to approach things of that nature. I think that these guys understand that, after about a week or so in this thing, you're like, whoa, this is not just two defenses. It's not blitz or cover. You know what I mean? So I think that you just got to continue coaching them up. And I think our players in our locker room are so team oriented. They make sure those guys stay positive, and they make sure they understand. Like, listen, just because you had a bad play, don't make it turn into a bad day at practice. And I think like between Lenoris and Pup and Nick and all those guys all the freshmen that we have on this team, Kilgore, they're growing every single day, and it's really through the help of our players.
Oh, I didn't have.
Come on.
When you have, guys like Pup, some of these young DBs that you're trying to get ready to contribute really quickly, how do you sort of prepare them for what an SEC offense looks like that isn't, hitting your own guys here?
Well, the preparation is really, you have to teach them all. The good thing about a lot of those guys, they came in January, so they kind of learned just very little things, and we taught them more this summer. And then the fall camp, we dove all the way in, all into the deep end. So it's really just practicing fast and make sure you're teaching at a good pace, the way they understand, and that they can spit it back to you. And I think that's, once again, the players come in. That's when they come into the picture. And then when they're on the field, they just got to be able to line up and play fast and show us your ability. We will be able to teach the stuff to you. We trust our coaching and our teaching ability, but they just got to get on the field and get lined up and play fast and get their eyes and feet correct.
Clayton, you mentioned the past 2 seasons that stopping the run has got to improve. Was there, one dynamic thing that you did in the offseason or have implemented into preseason camp that says this is going to handle it?
One thing, my personality, we definitely understand that stopping the run is a major thing. We really want to, obviously we want to get rid of that Achilles heel. But the thing is, you got to go back and really watch the tape. A lot of people, you can watch it from the outside, but when you turn on the tape, you realize that, okay, it's not as bad as it looks on paper. It's an incident here. It's a quarterback scramble here. It's a missed sack here that you didn't have that could have taken 15 yards off a rushing average. So we learn from it. We learn from it, and we are trying to grow, get better, and improve our tackling at the end of the day. If you improve your tackling from the tape that I studied, that there's a lot of those things that would be negated, but it's easier. Easier said than done. But I think we worked at it. But the key is, as long as we learn from what we did last year and grow from it, expect a high improvement, big time improvement.
Your nickel position, Keenan Nelson was talking a little bit about his growth yesterday. Yep. What are you seeing at nickel? Is there anybody standing out there to you right now?
Yes, obviously the good thing about our defensive backfield is that Coach Gray obviously challenged those guys at probably the highest level I've ever been around a defensive back coach in regards of learning multiple positions. If you can do it. Some of our guys are brilliant. Nick is brilliant. DQ is brilliant. Keenan's brilliant. Spalding, bright. All those guys are bright guys when it comes to football learning. Everybody learns football at a different pace. They're at the highest level, so we have plenty of nickels that can go in there and play. The problem will be is we have to be able to upgrade the other positions if those guys were to go.
Clayton, you've gone against Spencer now for 2.5 weeks. You saw him last year, now you've seen him in camp now. You're shaking your head. What's it been like to go against him, and how has he looked?
It's been fun. It's been challenging. He's definitely made us all better as a football coach. There was at one point there was a challenge like who's going to get an interception from Spence, and then we finally got a couple, but it took us a good while during training camp. But he's I will say, one, I think he's an unbelievable dude. Like, there was a rap about it. There was a theory about him when he first got here, and then it's completely wrong. He's a humble guy. He's a team guy. He's fun. Me and him don't talk junk, but we talk to each other about things and looks, and it's been fun. I think that a lot of kids can learn from him in regards of starting over, getting a brand new start. You guys have read the Preseason. Lights out is like really what it's been. Like, he don't miss throws, and it's been good, man. So it's been fun. Like, I know if our DBs, if you're a step behind and you're a step late, if you see the quarterback, I always say if you watching the quarterback, you're gonna see the completion. So, it's been fun. It's been impressive. So I'm excited to watch them get cut loose.
And with JT, now that you've had a few weeks with him and seeing what he's got, what's kind of stood out to you about him? Yes,
I love his size. I love JT's mindset. He has a mentality about him that he wants to prove that I wish I was here the first time, and we're glad to have him. He has some size, some good length, and he has some years behind him. He's definitely a really good defensive end that can play field and boundary. He can drop in coverage. We're excited about what he's going to bring, and for his future is very bright here. Glad he's home. Thanks, Coach. Thank you. Y'all have a great day.